What's up, everybody? Today I'm making a guide to changing your own oil, and this goes for most used cars. I'm going to start off by giving you a quick list of the things you'll need and a couple of things you might want. The first thing you'll need is a ratchet and a socket. You don't need a full kit. You really just need the size that is on your drain pan. On my car, the drain plug is located right here. That's right here. If you're having trouble figuring out what size your drain plug is, you can screenshot this chart. The next thing you're going to need, obviously, is oil and a filter. The oil filter, you can go to any parts store and they'll get you the one that you need. You just tell them your make, model, and what engine you have. And then your oil might say on your oil fill cap, mine doesn't. You can always find the answer in your owner's manual. For me, it's right in the back under oil capacity. If you don't have the owner's manual, then you can look it up online, but I would be careful. Don't trust the AI answer. Use an actual website. You're also going to need something to catch your oil when you drain it. I got this portable waste oil container from Harbor Freight. They're cheap, they work good, but you can really use anything, an old bowl or something, as long as it's got a good capacity. You don't want it to leak all over your garage floor. You're also going to want a funnel for when you pour your oil into your fill cap. If you don't have a funnel, you're going to end up spilling it all over everything. Not the end of the world, free rust proofer, but the funnel makes it a heck of a lot easier. Now, one thing that you don't need, but you really are probably going to want, is an oil filter wrench. You can also pick these up at Harbor Freight. They're cheap, and they make life really, really easy. Especially when your oil filter is in a pretty bad spot. Like for my car, it's up here above all this steering stuff. Not the worst spot, but certainly not the best. You can see I've turned my wheel all the way to the left. It's going to make it a lot easier to reach that. A flashlight also comes in handy a lot. Now we're going to go under here and we are going to drain our oil. This member here is in the way, but I think you can still see that our container here, which you might have to push out of the way. When you crack this loose, it shouldn't leak any oil out. Dang it. Like this. Now that it's loose, you can come in here with your hand. And if you've been driving, this is going to be hot. You want to be real careful. You might want to put on latex gloves. I don't have time for that. There you go. You can see the oil draining. Pull your plug out. Make sure you don't drop this. And you want to put this somewhere where it won't get dirty. We're just going to wait here a minute for all that oil to drain. We can come up here. You can loosen this. We're not going to pour oil in yet, obviously. We still got to do our filter. Also put this somewhere where it won't get dirty. Another good place to put these, if you don't have this handy plastic cover here, put them with your sockets or something. Somewhere where you won't lose it, won't get dirt on it. It's always good to just take a quick look at this, make sure the threads look good, not stripped out. Start this with your hands always. Always, always, always thread it by hand first. If you have a power tool, use it after you get this started so you don't cross thread it. I'm not going to use power tools. Now that we got that in there hand tight, we can pull our pan away. Sorry for the lack of lighting. And then we can go ahead and tighten this up. This does not have to be super tight, but you want it to be as tight as you can get it, laying on the ground at least, so that it won't come off while you're driving. Now we're going to move on to the oil filter. It's right here. See it up there? This is where that oil filter wrench is going to come in handy. Just going to pop that on my socket. Set this to loosen. You're going to also want to grab your oil container again. Slide it over under here. Now get your oil filter wrench up on there. This should not be unbelievably tight. There goes the camera again. Get your wrench up on there. And just loosen it. It should feel some resistance at first. It's because the rubber O-ring is still in contact with your engine. And it's going to loosen up with this. You can do this by hand, but a lot of times it's really hard. You might have to bang a screwdriver into there. This wrench gets rid of all the need for that. So now it's loose enough to loosen by hand. There you can see oil draining out. Of course, right onto something, so it's going to get a little messy. That's okay. Just spin this off. Just like this. A bunch of oil is going to drain out. That's okay. You can just set this right down on there to drain. Let that drip for a minute. Now we're going to get our new filter. First thing we want to check, this rubber gasket right here is on there. Now it's really important that you get your old filter and you also check that it has that O-ring. Sometimes they will come off and that will stick onto your engine, and then if you put this on top of that, it's going to have two gaskets, and then when you start your engine, it's going to leak oil everywhere. So always make sure that this gasket is still there. Another thing I like to do is just first make sure that they're the same size roughly, and then get a little bit of oil on there. That'll just help it seat nice and comfy up on there and seal good for you. I'm also going to take the old filter and just put it in the box, and then we'll throw that away later. Alright, I just discovered that I can use the flash on my camera while taking a video. Wow. So let me switch hands here. Bring this filter up in here gently. We don't want to get any dirt or anything on there. I'm just gonna slide it on there, start tightening it. You feel it catch, and you're just gonna spin it on. There. Get it hand tight, and then we're gonna go back to this handy thing. Get that right on the end of it, if you can. There we go. Again, this does not have to be super tight, but you do want it to be tight enough where you're confident it won't leak. I've put these on hand tight before and it's been fine. I like to go a little bit more because I have the wrench, but I'm confident it's going to be fine there. Now, if you're environmentally conscious, you can wipe this off. I'm not, but I am going to wipe it off anyways. That way when we start this thing up, we can be sure that it's not leaking. Just use an old rag or paper towel, napkin. Wipe that all off. There we go. Now, our drain plug is tightened, our filter is tightened. That should be everything that we need to do under the car. Pull your container out. If you got this fancy one, you can tighten that up. Set that aside. I'll show you what to do with your old oil later. Just do a double take. Visually, that's on. That's on. Now we can come back up top, and I can turn the flash off. Now you're going to find on your car, it should say engine oil, or maybe it doesn't, it's worn off. It'll be on top of your valve cover. This side, Maybe on this side, maybe it's right here in the front. Really depends on what kind of car you have. But it's going to be a cap that looks like this. Now we're going to get our oil, our new oil. If you're watching this video and there's any question what oil you should be using, just use full synthetic. I use synthetic blend because I change my oil every 3,000 miles on the dot, just about. You can see I have these stickers on here, courtesy of Temu.com. 88,000, and then I changed it at 91,000, and I forgot to put a new sticker. There you can see on my odometer, 94. 87 miles over. Now we're gonna get our funnel, stick it in there, crack this open, smell that new oil smell, and we're gonna pour some of this in. It's okay if this gets a little messy. Try to get most of it though. I'm gonna pour probably about a third of this in, and then I'm gonna jump underneath and make sure it's not leaking. Alright, let's take a look. No leaks there. No leaks there. That's good. Now we're gonna finish pouring this in. There you go. All our oil's out. Funnel's empty. We're gonna set that aside. Take your fill plug, cap, whatever. Hear it click. Now we're gonna go check for leaks one more time. Nothing there. Nothing there. Now that we know everything's tight, we put our new filter on, we put our new oil in. I'd say it's safe to start it up. Now, some cars have an oil pressure gauge. There's mine. Unfortunately, in my car, it's just a dummy gauge, so it doesn't matter where it is on the line. All it's telling me is that I have oil pressure. It doesn't indicate how much oil pressure. So we're gonna start it up. We're gonna watch that needle. Let me turn that up so you can see it. We're gonna make sure that needle jumps up. It should pause for a second. But as long as that needle jumps up, we're gonna hop underneath after and make sure we're not leaking. Right there, jumped up. That's what we wanna see. Wait for a second, make sure it doesn't go down. All right. Now we're looking for leaks. No leaks, guys. Gauge is looking good. Now we have this old oil and we need something to do with it. Thankfully, we have this sealable container perfectly suited for holding oil. So we can just take this. And there's another benefit of using these oil containers, which I will show you in a minute after I drain this. See how dark that is? It's after 3,000 miles. I wouldn't wait any longer. 5,000 is okay if you're using full synthetic, but Really, the biggest, most important thing when you're changing your oil is, one, that you have the correct weight, and two, that you're doing it regularly. A lot of people with these new cars just go off the oil light or their oil life meter. I wouldn't trust that. Wouldn't trust it at all, guys. Go off your mileage, set your trip, A or B, if you have that. Write it down in a book, keep it in your glove box. It's really important that you're doing this regularly. Now, the benefit of using this new oil container is it has these marks on the side. You can see not even to 3 quarts. And it's supposed to have 5. I'm really not concerned about that. This is a 25-year-old car, and you're never going to be able to get 100% of your oil out. There's always going to be some left in there that you couldn't drain. If it was down to like 1.5 or 2 quarts, I would be concerned, and I'd be checking my oil level more often, which you can do with this dipstick here. The first time you pull it out, you have to wipe it off. Use that rag I was talking about earlier. Stick it in here, pull it out. Now we're just gonna look at the end here. See those 2 holes? It's really hard to see with the camera, but the level's sitting right about here, which is good. That's what we want. Stick that back in, make sure that's tight again, and that's it, guys. Wipe up this mess like that, and you're good to go. Your oil's changed. Write down your mileage right on here with a marker. There, I put my oil info there, and I did use the wrong oil. This is supposed to take 530. I put 520. This number is not as important as this number. You have to use the correct weight. That's what the W is for.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Very important. Another thing you want to do if you use the oil container is write used right on there. That way you don't accidentally pour it into something or try and reuse it on accident. Now you can just take this and put it with all the others. You can throw this away. I'm going to list all the tools I used here in the description. Leave your hate comments down below. I love to read them. Leave your positive comments down there too if you want. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. Thanks for watching.